All right, all right, all right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Make sure you can hear me. Another good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. On a Wednesday morning, I feel like I just left you. Of course, because I just did not too long ago. Boy, last night's show was fun. Brian Glenn in studio. Good morning, everybody on Facebook, YouTube. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Loud and clear, Damon. John on YouTube, thank you. Loud and clear. Mr. AZ Mikey, welcome in. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Going to be a fun show. We'll watch the market open. Try to get some live shots of what's going on over in Uniondale, New York today. Vinnie Mac's going to join us here. I see him in the waiting room. We're going to bring him in. He's going to join us as well. We'll see what's going on in Long Island. President Trump tonight in Uniondale. Slick Rick told me last night, we talked about it on the show, 65,000 ticket requests for what's going to end up being probably around 14,000 seats. And that would be capacity. So absolute pandemonium over in Uniondale today for President Trump. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. We'll take a look at some of your morning news. We'll take a look at the markets. We'll obviously take a look at the election. We'll talk to Vinnie Mac. He's going to join us for the stream this morning. So I'm excited about that. Markets right now. Futures are up. Dow futures up 51. S&P up 8. NASDAQ futures up 47. You know, markets don't like questions, insecurity. They like to know what's going on. And, of course, the Fed today is going to make a decision on what's going on. 5 rates up to 5.5 here over the last couple of years, affecting everything, hurting people. Credit card interest rates way up, mortgages way up. Fed's going to decide today what the future looks like. And, you know, these are the days that people always think are going to make, today's the day they cut rates and big things start to happen. Well, most likely, probably not. Probably not. And that's why the market doesn't like uncertainty. And whether we get a 25 base. Now, a lot of people are starting to make the case for a 50 basis point rate cut today, which kind of surprises me. Because I thought a 50 basis point rate cut would signal to the market that there's maybe something worse going on than what we know. That recession is maybe a little more locked in than they'd like us to believe. So a 50 basis point rate cut would be somewhat of a surprise to me still. 25 would seem to make more sense. But if they do 50, it'll be interesting to see if the Fed is very clear on why they're doing 50. Do they think unemployment's going to go to 4.5, 4.8, 5? Do they think what would be the reason for the 50? And what would be the explanation for that? That'll be very interesting. So we'll keep a lookout for the Fed this afternoon. I'll probably be streaming that as well. And we'll see how the market reacts. You know, those people who own assets who think rate cuts automatically mean assets go up, probably not. Assets really don't start going up till the Fed starts quantitative easing. And last time it took 3 or 4 rate cuts for that to happen. So you could still see some uncertainty in the markets, crypto market, stock market, until the end of the year, until you get maybe 2 or 3 rate cuts under your belt. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll probably stream the Fed's decision today. But since he's in the waiting room, let me bring him in here. Vinnie Mac. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. It's good to be, traveling through the ether over here onto your show. This is amazing.
Yes, it's nice to have you on. So it's so This is so easy to do this. I love the way this is set up, this morning stream. It's so easy to bring people in. Slick Rick joined us a couple weeks ago. But you're the first one to really join us for an extended period of time here. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Woke up this morning to this rate thing you're talking about with the Feds. And, I was thinking about this. Everything with this administration's been politicized. Everything, every department, every agency, everything. So don't we expect this to be politicized before an election for the Feds to start making moves? I mean, I hope that's not the case. but it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's every agency. It seems like that's what's going to happen. Something dramatic, I think, or a path to something dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump talked about the fact that he didn't want to see the Fed cut rates before the election. He thought it signaled political as well to try to make it, things improve right before November. The case for me is I don't think things are going to improve. I don't think this. I mean, whether it's political or not, I guess we'll never know. Of course, Jerome Powell will say it's not, and
Right.
he'll say it's time for rate cuts. We've been overly aggressive, and now our tightening cycle has really reached where we're starting to see. I mean, because all these things take a lagging effect. And listen, they all make the case that the consumer is still holding up, that things are still strong, GDP growth is still there. But we know what happens, like you say, perfectly. We know how politicized the CPI is, this basket of CPI, how they get to these numbers. People don't feel these numbers because we live on a day-to-day basis. We don't feel month over month or year over year. People know what their mortgage rates are. People know what their housing costs are. People know what their shopping grocery list bill is. People know what their oil, to fill their oil tank, what the bill is. So they live in the moment, day to day. They don't live month to month or core this or non-core this or core CPI or CPI. They don't live like that. So they don't feel any of this nonsense. They just go, everything's too goddamn expensive. And when is it going to come down? So, Fed's going to cut rates today. And if it's 25 or 50, I don't know. To me, 50 signals that they think there's bigger problems in the economy than we know there is, and that a soft landing is pretty much out the window. And now they're trying to get ahead on the other side. Of course, they were behind. They're always behind, no matter what side they're on. They raised too late. Inflation ran wild, and now they're going to be late in cutting, and unemployment's going to spike, and we're probably going to go into some kind of recession, if I had to guess.
Yeah. No, I hear you on all of that. The only thing that they really can't affect is oil, in a sense, because oil is based on, supply and demand. But mortgages, food, cars, credit cards. And I'm down in Florida a lot. I think that, and the market there softened significantly, as it has in a lot of places in the country where there's a lot of inventory. But the number one reason, if you talk to realtors, I talk to the people at Keller Williams and others, is the mortgage rate. So you've got the mortgage rate set. If you want to talk about fixing the housing problem, there you go. Pretty simple, right? Take it down. Take the interest rates down a little bit. Food, all the transportation for food. Food costs are up in general. Transportation costs are up in general. Oil's up, and it's driving all the food prices. This change is not really going to affect it a huge amount. There is some, money being borrowed here or there on food costs and production costs and so on. But it's really about oil, transportation, and other things. Cars, those car loans are 7.9% right now. They used to be 0 to 2. And then the credit cards, I think we talked about this on the show the other night. That's 25% people making a minimum payment, 27%. I'm just so sour on any government agency right now. Even you mentioned Garland. You talk about an agency completely corrupted. He came in with the idea of I'm going to fix this, and he just tripled down on making this more corrupt and more sort of one-sided. Everything he's done has been one-sided. Every investigation has been one-sided. So yeah, I just have lost total confidence in every agency, the Fed included. And it's terrible, right? Fed's like the last place. We thought we'd have independence, right? That's the place.
Yeah.
Continuing this conversation right
let's
now.
Let's see what the Dallas Fed president says.
What the Federal Reserve may do, what this path means. Former Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan joins us. He's now vice chairman of Goldman Sachs. And I'll ask you the same question. What's your take, Rob? Because here we have the markets, which have moved, even in the past couple of days, on some kind of newfound expectation that they think 50 basis points may be in the offing. I don't think there's a better explanation to explain why the market's moving the way it is. Will they ultimately be disappointed?
They might be, and that happens sometimes. My own view, if I were sitting at the table, I would be advocating for 50 in this meeting. And the reason I'd be doing that, I think with inflation running around 2.5% and sluggishness in the labor market, I think that over the next few months, I'd want to see the Fed funds rate down to, say, 4.25%, 4.5%. And I think the Fed may be a meeting or so late. And if I had a do-over, I might prefer we had started the cutting in July, not September. And so in light of that, I'd want to front-end load this a little bit, do 50 in this meeting. However, in the press conference, it does put the onus on Jay Powell and after the meeting, other Fed participants to make clear that future action is likely to be more measured. And so that's what I'd be recommending.
So, Rob, you know the folks who are around that table. What do you think they're going to be saying?
My guess is they're split. I think there'll be some around the table who feel, as I do, that they're a little bit late and they'd like to get on their front foot and would prefer not to spend the fall chasing the economy. There'll be others that, from a risk management point of view, just want to be more careful. But I think, given Jay Powell's speech in Jackson Hole, that now inflation and the labor market are more balanced, and the fact they don't want to see any further weakening in the labor market, I do believe from a risk management point of view, 50 makes the most sense. If the group is split, a lot of this will depend actually on what Jay Powell
Well, that's what I was saying. So what do you think
do.
he personally thinks? What is his?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see. It could be 50. I mean, I didn't think 50 would be on the table, and I thought if they did cut 50 today, it would signal that we've got bigger problems coming down. And that's why, back to your original point, Vinnie Mac, I don't think doing this before the election necessarily. Now, again, whether they're doing it politically minded or not, I don't know. But I don't think it necessarily helps them, because I think either way, it signals that things in the economy are not good, probably getting worse as we head into 2025 for whoever is in office.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's just the cynicism, of all the things that have happened over the last few years of just thinking they would be, corrupt. And by the way, here's the Goldman Sachs chairman up there who Kamala says endorsed his economic plan, and they're like, no, we didn't. It's pretty interesting to see him on the air commenting on this, after all that hoopla. Look at this. Wow. Supporters are out big numbers this morning, huh?
So I don't have a way to put my phone on the screen and show you some of the stuff I've been getting this morning. But we talked about this on the show. You obviously weren't on last night, but we had Brian Glenn on, who's obviously been following Trump around the country for years, all the rallies. Now he's now the national correspondent over at RAV. He was in studio with us last night. And we talked about Trump today. He's here to cover the rally out at Nassau Coliseum. And he is first time on Long Island. And I tried to explain, I said, I think tomorrow is going to be, like I compared it to when big sporting events come to Long Island, like the Ryder Cup, or when they had Tiger was here for the U.S. Open at Bethpage Black. The players all leave and they go, man, the energy here on Long Island. I mean, it's New York, and, the typical New Yorkers, you get some loud, drunk guys out there screaming and yelling. But the energy is so palpable for things when things come to town that the people here really get behind and support. And obviously golf's big on Long Island. There's a lot of support. So when the U.S. Open was here at Bethpage, it was just wild. And I just compared it to that. I said, Trump, Suffolk County, Lee Zeldin, you go back over the years, Peter King, people, whatever, can think of what they want with him, but it's still very red, always pretty conservative. And I said, tomorrow is going to be wild. And he said, really? I said, yeah, I think the energy is going to be palpable. I think it's going to be like like probably nothing you've seen. And the pictures I'm getting this morning of Hempstead Turnpike over by the Coliseum are out of control. Out of control. Hempstead Turnpike is a parking lot, not just on the shoulder where they're trying to keep the cars. The whole entire 4 lanes looks like a parking lot. I mean, it is going to be such a mess over there before 3 p.m. when the doors open and they finally decide who's going to go in. And then I don't know what they're going to do. The overflow, I can't imagine what the overflow is going to be outside the Coliseum.
I saw some of those pictures, and that's not the drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts. That I can tell you. It is packed. Amazing. But, people underestimate New York in so many ways, especially when it comes to Trump. He's from Jamaica, Queens. He's a local guy. We as New Yorkers, and I think I've said this a few times on the show, we as New Yorkers grew up with this guy. He's been in the news with us. We've seen him, since 1982 when he first started putting up Trump Tower and doing all that stuff. Like he's one of us, and he's everywhere too. He's not a guy that's shy. He shows up in a lot of places, and there's far more Trump supporters than the media and anyone will acknowledge, especially here in New York. I listened to a little bit of the show last night, and I know you talked a little bit about is New York in play, is New York not in play, and we've gone back and forth on that because you can't help but feel New York's in play when you see those pictures, when you see the lines up. I don't know, 100,000 people. I mean, it's a big number, right? Maybe it's 60,000, but it's not, it's not 5. So you kind of wonder, can it be in play? Is there enough to overwhelm, the Bronx and Brooklyn and the city, with followers? And this event does show you, people are coming out from the metropolitan New York area, not just Long Island. Amazing, huh? Very impressed.
Yeah, let's take a look. See, I haven't watched this yet, but let's just see what this looks like here.
Island for a campaign rally at Nassau Coliseum.
A whole lot of people have been lining up outside of the Coliseum. Some even did so last night when drivers were made to leave after a security sweep.
Well, right now the Coliseum parking lot is open, but doors to the Coliseum do not open until 3 o'clock. The rally itself starts at 7. And this morning, Long Islanders are already at the Coliseum ahead of tonight's rally. They have been standing in line and lined up in their cars for a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a sight out there. News 12's Caroline Flynn is outside of the Coliseum right now with those people who are working to get their way inside today. That's why they're there so early, right, Caroline?
That is why they are here so early, and the reason they're telling us is they heard 60,000 people requested tickets to be a part of this. Only 16,000 are going to be allowed inside, and they don't want to take any chances. They want to make sure that they have a seat. So many people saying to witness a piece of history. A lot of people saying, we're so close to Election Day that they figured the former president would be focusing on the swing states, but they feel this is an incredible opportunity to see him in person here at the Nassau Coliseum, and that is why you have a line as far as the eye can see outside right now. These people have been waiting for hours. They're going to continue to wait for hours. They are here in their Trump gear. They have decked out their cars. Look at this. This guy right over here, I was warning him before. I said, I'm worried about you getting hit. This is Busy Hempstead Turnpike. He said he doesn't want anyone trying to get in the way, trying to cut the line, because they're protective. They've been here for hours and hours, and they want their chance to see it all. And I've been asking people, what is it? What is this passion that you guys have? And I want you to listen to this answer again, why people are saying they are waiting for so long to see this man in person here tonight, Donald Trump.
It just shows that the people are fed up. They're done. They want change. They want Trump back in office, and so do we.
All right, again, you're looking at some of the crowds here. The cars stretched onto the Meadowbrook Parkway. People are even saying, that it's going to go to these overflow lots at Eisenhower Park as well as Mitchell Field when it comes to parking. We're going to keep you guys updated with what we're hearing, what we're seeing in terms of security and in terms of traffic. Nothing really so far this morning with traffic, but we'll keep you updated throughout the rest of the morning and the day. For now, though, Aaron, Rich, we're going to send things back to you guys. We got to go get set up in the parking lot here ahead of the rally tonight. Back to you, though.
Yeah. So there's an early report, Vin. I don't know what the updated one is, but you heard it. I mean, think about 60,000 requests for, I don't think it holds 16,000. I think it's going to be more like 14,000. But again, you think about 35,000 overflow people possibly around Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah. I think about 20,000 of them sent requests to Harry. So I'm not sure if he's able to fill that. I hope he can. He's got some pull-a here, right?
And Harry's there. I wish I could get a current. I was looking see if I could find a Hempstead Turnpike live cam, so I could show you some of the live pictures that I've been getting sent text to me. I mean, it's just unbelievable what the traffic looks like. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, it does make you feel encouraged, with New York. If he won most of the counties in New York twice. He just lost, New York City, Bronx, and Queens. So, you just never know if there's enough of that black vote in particular. Georgia, I was reading this morning, there's a real strong, movement on the black vote towards Trump. You wonder if our cities are going to have the same result, like they're underestimating that vote. I would think they would be if folks are being logical and really looking at, who can do what for them. But, it might be close enough. It might just be close enough. I hope it is.
Yeah. We talked last night on the show about, the girl in the video there made an interesting point when she says, people who are here thought, well, geez, so close to the election, you'd think he would be concentrating on the swing states. And I was talking to Brian Glenn. We actually went out for, after the show last night, we went out and grabbed a bite to eat because I wanted to pick his brain on a couple things. And we were talking about just this again, why New York now? I mean, does he legit? I mean, you'll never convince me that New York's in play. I don't think it is. I think he lost it by 60 points. If you lose it by 30, I don't think that's a victory to say, hey, we did 30 points better, but we still lost by 30. I don't think it could ever be in play, but that's just me. I hope I'm wrong. But you have to wonder, she's got a war chest of money to spend in 49 days, way more than he has. And this has all been well documented on, obviously, and it's part of the plan. Spent the money on the legal issues. He spent a lot of money on legal issues. She has a war chest of money to spend. Alls I hear from people, we've done polls on the show about, are you seeing Trump ads in your area or are you just seeing Kamala ads? Most of the time people say, I don't see any Trump ads. Yeah, I see a lot of lawn signs, and I know the support's there, but I don't see a lot of ads. She's outspending him. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm sure that's going to continue, if not increase. Why is he in New York today and not in Pennsylvania or Ohio or Georgia or North Carolina or Michigan? Why is he in New York? I mean, deep down, what do you really think that he thinks New York is in play and that's why he's here? Or is he here, as Brian Glenn said, because today was the day, September 18th, he was supposed to get sentenced in New York, which then got pushed off and delayed? Is this kind of a, is this a big middle finger to, what is this? Why is he here today?
Yeah, to me, it sounds like a little of both. I mean, it is, and rightfully so, a middle finger to all those folks involved in this corrupt case, against him. And no better way to do that is than to have, an astonishing large crowd come and support you, right? While a couple of these appointed and elected officials, were working with the Biden administration to go get him. But I do think, and if you put your head inside Trump's head, I do think he's from New York. I think he's always felt he might have a shot, in New York. I realize the numbers don't back that up. And, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I think in the back of his mind, it's like, let's do it on this date. And I might have a shot here. If you look at the information that's been coming out regarding some of the Jewish community, not all, disappointing in how they're coming out, frankly, with this entire, Hamas thing with the left and the progressive left. But some of the Jewish community, the Hispanic community has really been turning, strongly towards Trump, and the black community has, especially black males. So that's a lot of New York City, Bronx, and Brooklyn. So you just never know if enough of that's enough to tilt some of those places, because upstate, Long Island, Suffolk County, Nassau counties become pretty strong. Trump, he doesn't win that area, but he's just right on the borderline of it. So I think it's a little of both. I mean, he probably booked this with what you said initially, which is, screw these people who tried to put me in jail. Let's show them. And I think as thing has progressed, maybe in the back of his mind is like, you know what? I might have a shot here. Let's go. Let's do that as well. But it probably the first part more so.
Raymond on Facebook says, why does money and ads make a difference? Is the electorate so uninformed?
I wanted to jump in on that when you mentioned it, because we talked about this going back in 2016 and how social media is going to impact. But we all experience the same thing when we look at a video. There's a little ad before it, right? And we can't wait till those 5 seconds tick through till we hit skip. That's how we are with ads in general in this country now. TV ads in particular. Now people are DVRing shows and so on, and they're just fast forwarding through ads and so on. So I just don't know buying ads, how effective they are anymore for anybody. I don't think ads are going to change anybody's mind, and I just don't think they have. Back in the 70s and 80s, maybe they had a lot of effect because people actually believed some of the advertising, and that's all we saw advertising and everything, and we had to sit through it. Now we don't have to sit through it, So I don't know how much of an impact it will. I like what Trump's doing, though. He's going into podcasts. He's going into micro communities, and I think that's a smart move because the margins are so tight. Those micro communities will make a difference, and that's what he's doing. So that's my view on it, at least.
I just saw someone in the chat when I said she has money that she's going to outspend them, and she continues, and someone said, yeah, just like Hillary outspent him in 2016. How'd that work out? And I mean, we talked about it back then, right? I mean, we talked about how he was going to use social media in a different way. And although I think this is a different time, and I think it's a different time online. I think there's different tools. I think it's a little different than then, but we talked about it then. So I mean, there is some truth to that. Like, she outspent him, and it didn't make a difference.
No, and what we talked about specifically was, one, people just don't believe her, and two, people aren't going to believe her ads. But back then, social media had cred. People believed it more. Now, as you said, things have changed dramatically. I just don't think ads, especially political ads, I don't care whose side it is. Even when I see a Trump ad or whatever, it's like, and no one's really paying attention to them. I think what they pay attention to are like these podcasts, the town hall type of stuff. I think people pay attention to real Q&A, talk about issue kind of things. Even look at the debate, Damon. I think we were talking about this, and I remember how upset we were during that debate. It's yesterday's news. It was a week ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? Whatever. It was recent. It's a nothing burger. So I don't think any of those things really matter anymore like they used to.
Let's trying to find a little more information on what's going on over Nassau Coliseum. Let's see.
We got some very large crowds. They extend all the way down to Meadowbrook. They're doubled up in some places. We got a lot of pedestrians out here all waiting to get inside. Gates opened up about 5 minutes ago, so they're starting to pour into the parking lot. We'll fill up the lots as we work our way out. When the lot is full, we will stop people from entering. They can go to Eisenhower Park, or they can go to Mitchell Field and then walk over. I'm standing in the free speech zone right now. It will be a very well-protected zone area for those who come to exercise that First Amendment. And as far as everybody going inside, you've heard and again, I thank you for putting that out, no bags. We don't want to bring any bags inside. Enjoy your freedoms here and enjoy democracy. But remember, we will not tolerate those that are acting out. If you want to spend the night in the Nassau County Jail, we will accommodate you if you're not going to play by the rules.
Commissioner Ryder, of course, so much security has to be enhanced surrounding Donald Trump. What happened 2 months ago, of course, what happened this week. To people who are saying, I want to go there, but I just don't feel safe knowing what's going on around him. What do you have to say to them today?
This is the safest place in the country right now. We have more police officers that have been out for the last 24 hours, making sure the area has been cleaned, and then we go in from the inside of that stadium on out. We have our perimeter that people talk about on the news lately. A perimeter is as big as the experts tell me to make the perimeter, and then make it a little bit bigger. We're going to have helicopters up. We're going to have drones up. We have snipers in place. We got rooftops covered. We have got windows covered from the high buildings around it. This will be the safest place in the country.
Yeah. I don't think I want to mess around with that guy. He seems like a no-nonsense. I want that guy in charge of my security just in the 5 seconds of watching him.
I'm afraid to have an open beverage near that guy. Holy cow. Might take me right down. Wow.
Exactly. Let's see what else is going on this morning. Anything caught your attention so far?
I woke up this morning because it was the last thing I saw on the news last night. A real discussion on this was that beeper thing that happened.
Yeah, is that unbelievable?
Oh, it's genius. It is genius. I mean, they poached the supply chain. Apparently, the beepers came through Budapest, Hungary. They poached the supply chain, and then through one message, they ignited it, and it's just brilliant. And I was watching Gutfeld a little bit last night, which was really he was great last night. But one of the things that they said was if the Biden-Harris campaign knew about this, or the presidents knew about this, they would have put the kibosh on it. They would have said, no, you can't do that. That's going to ignite this. It's going to ignite that. I think the Israelis just sent a message that we're going to come get you no matter what. And you want to start a fight with us in Lebanon, we're going to come get you. And, you know, another 12 Hamas fighters died because of it overnight. It just was just incredible. I'm really blown away by that they were able to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Another live shot over in Uniondale, a little closer to probably where we are. People starting to line up. I just think it's going to be wild over there today. We'll try to cover some of it tonight on the show. Obviously at 8, the network will be covering it. We'll still be live at 8 on all socials, whether we're on the network or not. We'll just wait and see. Get the New York Post, Vin. We were just talking about paging Hamas, paging Hamas. Beep, beep,
man.
Boom.
of all things, too. Yeah, they can't use cell phones because the Israelis can track them. So they go and have a big meeting. We switch to beeper. We get the beeper now. Everybody go with the beeper. They get the beeper and they blow up. It's beautiful. These are evil people.
Portnoy says, I can't wait to watch when this becomes a spy movie. This is the craziest counterterrorism plot I've ever heard of.
Tom Cruise actually showed up during it. He lowered himself down. Yeah, amazing. That's a Mission Impossible move, by the way. Totally.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. How'd you like to be Scott Jennings and have to be on CNN every night?
I do think it's an important conversation. How are they here legally? Because of executive action on immigration. I don't believe it is an attack on immigrants.
Are you saying they don't have a right to? They shouldn't
race.
be here when they're
Do you not agree
essentially
with temporary
saving the
protected
town?
status? Do you know what temporary protected status is, and do you not agree with it?
No, I think most Republicans do not believe that the executive branch or the officers of it should be able to wave what J.D. Vance correctly calls a magic wand so people can circumvent the normal immigration process.
You have the mayor and the governor saying that these businesses needed workers.
Temporary protected status has been around for a long time.
And it's been granted by the Republican
Ohio
Republican
businesses
presidents and
needed
Democrats.
workers.
Most Americans.
Oh, don't you know they needed workers? So I mean, forget federal law. They needed workers. It's like what we were talking about last night when Kamala says, "Well, no, don't worry about what I said. It was just a debate. It was a debate. So it doesn't mean anything. The guy said they need workers. So don't worry if they're here illegally or if they were dropped into town or the town's getting overrun. Somebody told us that they needed workers, so it's okay whether the immigration staff. Forget federal law. That doesn't apply when someone says, "Hey, I need a worker here." It's just unbelievable how they explain these things away.
Needed workers and they needed and wanted votes. But let's reverse this for a second. Okay, they needed workers. Let's just start there. So what is it sane, fair-minded, normal, intelligent government do? The government basically say, you know what, we're short on workers. So we're going to need to let a few more people into the country. Let's figure out a process that does that. And we'll let a few more people in, and these cities need more workers, and we're going to make sure they get to those cities. They can that's a discussion to have, not just on day one, eliminate every executive order, open the floodgates, let just anybody into the country, worker, terrorist, criminal, whatever it is, and now backpedal and say, well, we needed workers. Didn't you know we needed workers? And we all know why they did this. This is these are for votes. I mean, the elections are so tight now, 1,200 votes in certain counties and 20,000 votes here or there. They needed votes. It's a lame argument, but you watch everybody gang up on Scott. Like Scott, you're so right. This poor guy, he must go home at night with 2 drinks in his hand, shaking. Oh my God, I can't believe what I just went through.
Oh my God, I mean, I can't even believe what it would be like to be him, to deal with that every single night.
I'd love to see the, when they get off the air, when they're actually talking, you get off the air, you take the headset off, you talk, and, what you think about this or that? I'd love to hear that conversation. That'll be interesting.
Okay, let's go to some of the I never saw these ads on Rav, only shows I watch. All right, so you know what, Vin? This is a good time to talk about this because I get so many comments, questions about the ads people see on OTT, specifically on Rav, specifically on our YouTube or any place else that's feeding ads. I feel like I've gone through this multiple times, but I must be doing a terrible job of explaining it. You understand the OTT space. So people cannot figure out why Rav is running Kamala Harris ads when they're watching us in wherever town zip code they're watching us in, and when Rav goes to break. And maybe you should do a job of explaining when you have when you're dealing in the digital world and you're an OTT platform and you have live streaming and you have what they call a waterfall of ad providers, 1, 2, 3, 4 ad providers that don't know or care about what your politics are, what you're this, what you're that. All they care about is, okay, the people who gave us this ad and the budget said, I want to target these zip codes. I want to target this kind of person. I want to target if they make this much or this less money. I want to target and they don't know who you are, and the ads are not being served from Rav. Rav has zero idea what happens when we hit the commercial break. People cannot figure out why they would be seeing a Kamala Harris ad on Rav in their town, and they don't understand that you may be seeing it on your TV, but the guy 5 houses down who's also watching us at night might be getting a totally different ad than the one you're getting.
Yeah, the bottom line is that there's a centralized system for ad flow with a lot of these OTT platforms and a lot of online social media platforms. Some of it can be targeted, like I want to be on a certain thing. Some of it can be, but for the most part, it is either zip code, demographic, or other criteria that just gets pushed out to wherever that criteria matches, and that's where the ads pop up. And it's sort of an agnostic system in many ways because it's based on demographics and location and those types of things. So that's why it's pretty simple. If we were running ads right now, the ads would be coming through the system outside of ads that might have come to us directly, which we would then pick, right? Or someone who came and said, I want to be on Live from Studio 6B, or I want to be on this particular OTT. The other ones are just flowing through these systems. And the systems do work well because it provides smaller OTTs with more specific audiences and so on with ad flow, which is hard to do, as you know. It's very hard to do. So it does provide a benefit, but it does create confusion with viewers. Like, why am I seeing this? I have no interest in seeing this woman's ad. So that's what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you think about standing next to a waterfall, we don't control what's coming over the edge to fall down into your viewing, into your screen. We control only what we do. Once we go to break, one of 4 ad providers go, oop, they have a spot for a commercial. Let me put it there. Oh, they live in that zip code. This company targeted that zip code. Let me put it there. It has absolutely nothing to do with us, nothing to do with Rav. We do not control the commercials. All we do is go out to those 4 providers and say, hey, here's where we have time to fill. You can, if A can't fill it, B will try to fill it. If B can't fill it, C will try to fill it. And if C can't fill it, D will try to fill it.
Yeah. Sometimes they just see it too. They just see that you have a slot. They don't even know what it is, but it's hitting that demo or target, and boom, they fill it.
All right, let's see what else is going on. Linda says, here in North Carolina, all I get is Harris and Stein commercials.
Man. Stein, she's still floating around. What happened? What happened to her?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's go over here. Just the news. Trump assassination plots expose FBI Secret Service vulnerabilities and failures. I mean, we talked about this the other night. I mean, Dan Bongino really did a great job of really breaking this down, but I just don't see how anybody, I mean, again, I know the agents on the ground with Trump are a different story. Just absolute heroes putting their life on the line every day. But I don't see how in the upper parts of the Secret Service what happened last Sunday can be looked at as anything but utter failure again.
It's gross failure both times. I mean, both times were such bad and egregious failures. You can't help but think they weren't failures. You know, and that level of incompetence, to be frank about it, is horrific. I mean, these whistleblowers are now talking about, the last assassination attempt where the leadership was incompetent. These are the words they used. They knew the leader was incompetent. Just this person had, been terrible, and yet they were leading. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman that was the leader of the last one. But for them to come out and say that, these are the people on the ground being like, geez, what are we doing? It leads you to either believe the agencies are incompetent or there's a bias here and they're deliberately putting in just these total hacks and doing these things because they want this guy eliminated. And that's conspiracy theory 101. But man, every day goes by, it gets more merit to thinking that way. Sadly, I don't want to think that way, but it kind of looks like it.
I mean, could you? I mean, would you ever just take a look at the headline that I'm sharing from Just the News this morning, from John Solomon, posted at 8:09 a.m. this morning, from Scott Rasmussen. I mean, what kind of a headline? What kind of country did we would ever think that we would see a headline like this? 28%, 28, not 2.8, not 0.028, 28% of Democrats think America better off if Trump had been assassinated. New Scott Rasmussen poll also shows Americans think anti-Trump rhetoric main reason for assassination attempts. In a shocking display of how vitriolic U.S. politics has become, more than a quarter of Democrats believe America would be better off if GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump had been killed during one of the two assassination attempts on his life, a new survey revealed on Wednesday. The new poll of 1,000 registered voters taken by veteran pollster Scott Rasmussen after the second assassination attempt against Trump on Sunday at the Florida golf course revealed that 17% of voters say it would have been better for America had Donald Trump had been killed last weekend. You figured included a whopping 28% of Democrats, that survey showed. Americans also had strong thoughts on what was driving the would-be assassins to act, with 45% suggesting it was anti-Trump rhetoric and 41% suggesting it was news media coverage. I mean,
yeah, that's that. It's not only staggering, but if you showed this to me a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have said, "Oh, I don't know about that." But I see this as of even last night on Facebook and other social media. I see this after the both assassination attempts. There was the justification by some of my left-wing friends that justified and sort of, made it seem like, well, sure, I totally understand an assassination attempt because he tried to overturn an election and he tried to do this and the January 6th and all of these things they start laying out. And I put the brakes on hard and I'm like, wait. We are talking about someone getting killed. We're not talking about you disagree. You don't trust him. You don't like him. You don't agree with him. Those are the basic things that you and I and everyone probably listening to this go through every day with people they come across that they may not like. Then there's hatred. Who do you hate? I mean, who do you really hate? That if someone walked by you and you just wanted to hit them, that's such a tiny, tiny number for anybody. And I don't know, most normal people don't even get to that point where they would strike. The left have convinced many of their brainwashed followers that this is okay. And I've heard from some very smart people that I know very well, that I've gone through college with, that have great careers, that have done great things, that are smart, normal people that take this position. So 28%, you know what? That might be low. I think I mentioned on the other night on the show, there was a study done by a political scientist professor at University of Chicago. Said 10% of Democrats believe with Trump, violence is okay. So he finds 10%. This is the study going back. Now you get 28% from John Solomon's research here. It's shocking, but it doesn't surprise me. And what it basically confirms to me is the following. There has been a very effective brainwashing of people, because hatred is a strong, strong, strong word. It's something that you have to go to a real extreme to get to, and very few people get to that. Of society, it's tiny. But that's where we are as a mass with the left, is this deep hatred. And where does that really come from? How do you hate someone so much? Well, you're fed this information. Boom, 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 so egregiously and aggressively and with lies that eventually you just start hating someone. Look at the result. It is brainwashing, I guess, is the only word. I can't find another word. But help me. Maybe there's another word for it. I can't find it, because it's what it says to me.
I'm just
You being brainwashed right now? Are you okay?
Well, we can do what we want on the stream. We're just kind of hanging out. People don't care if I seem to drift. I'm just thinking. I was just thinking while you were talking, and I just saw.
Wait. We're drifting. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Let me throw this up here. I just saw more. This is pretty cool. Check this out. Crazy is this? Wow. So I just thought, maybe it's a good idea if I see if Harry wants to join us live from the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah. Love to see Harry.
So let's see if he even responds. He might be. What I should do is let's pull up. We'll get to some audience questions here as well. Let's make sure that Harry's not live.
You may continue to hear it from Mr. Trump. Here's the headline from the Blaze Media. It reads, "Abba can't keep Trump from digging the dancing queen." As we all know, Donald Trump and his campaign like playing Dancing Queen among
what do you make
other
of all these
rallies.
places suing Trump over their music?
Except in a few isolated incidents, the United States allows campaigns to get a political entity's license
it's ridiculous.
royalties.
It is really ridiculous.
It also hosts a giant catalog with more than
20
there are
million
licensing
songs. Rules,
so
I guess.
The case for an artist denying this license
makes me want to hate these bands, honestly.
Makes you what?
Makes me want to hate these bands. It's like, really. I mean, okay, Dancing Queen. I admit it. I saw the opera show in London just recently, and Dancing Queen's a great song. But please, Bruce Springsteen, shut your mouth. ABBA, shut your mouths. Just let your music be played and stop getting political.
Amy says she agrees with you, Vin. Me too, Vin.
I remember when Bruce started talking out, and my buddies and we've been hardcore Bruce Springsteen fans, and it really hurt one of my friends because he lived to be Bruce. Like, Bruce was all blue collar, regular guy, and I'm like, look at this guy. This is Bruce. Like, just shut up, because when he came on tour, I didn't want to go, and I love him. I love his music, but I was like, I'm not going. Like, I don't want to hear this guy talking about this stuff. Because he's, I just don't want to hear it.
Now, Sergeant Arby here makes the most important point possibly of this morning stream, and how fastly it could go off the rails if I bring Harry on. He says, Damon, make sure Harry has pants on before you bring him on.
We actually have to check on that every time Harry comes on the air.
Every time. Harry's in the studio last night, and I swear, what's amazing about Harry, I mean, and I think people know at this point how much I love him, but you would think Harry had been in production for about one day, walks in front of the camera, tries to talk with no microphone in front of him. And I say, Harry, you've been in production your entire life. How is it you're walking in front of the camera during the live shot, or you're speaking and you know that nobody can hear you? I just... I just don't understand. I just don't understand it.
Well, he's now the official sponsor of duct tape, so he's really he's really got his production skills down. Yeah, Harry's a unique individual, but we do love him. So,
yeah, I think people sometimes think when we joke with him that we're serious. We are almost never serious unless we're talking about serious stuff. Any interaction between us is usually all just lighthearted ribbing. Let's see. Trump should play music from bands that support him. No need to give publicity to bands that are irrelevant to most supporters, especially the younger voters. What do you think about that, Vin?
I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're going to constantly get flack, but on the other hand, if you think how Trump thinks, in sort of the Roy Cohen, world of all PR is good. He takes songs of people that hate you, so they get on TV and start saying, "You can't play my song," and then all of a sudden he's covered all over the world again, in the media. So, but I agree. I'd rather have him play music from people that do support him. And how many are willing to do that? If you're a band, how many are really willing to say that because of all the woke garbage that goes on, other than Kid Rock and and a few other great country artists and so on. That's the problem. No one's really willing, especially if you're in media, to admit, because there goes half your audience, in a sense. That's a tough thing, right? If you're an artist.
Yeah. You said on the show the other night, and I didn't really think too much about it, but you had the Taylor Swift endorsement of Kamala on the night of the debate, and then I don't know, like you said, people kind of forgot about it. It didn't seem to really do much, maybe move the needle. Maybe she got some young voters, 18, 19-year-olds maybe registered. Maybe they saw a little bump in those kind of numbers. But for the most part, I didn't feel like I heard too much about it. I mean, probably the places the little that I watch TV, maybe I wouldn't have seen it anyways. But I didn't know. I don't know. I just felt like it didn't really move. And then he tweets out the "I hate Taylor Swift" thing the other day, and I was thinking, and you said it on the show, and I didn't really think about it till you said it, and it was kind of like, well, what was the point? This thing was not registering really at all that I could see. Like, why kind of resurface it? I didn't really get that.
I just felt like you don't need to say you hate anyone right now. Taylor Swift supported someone, so I think he just should have said nothing. And let's just be very frank about Taylor Swift and her audience. They're not voting for Trump anyhow.
Ever.
This is not an audience that's going to vote for Trump. So he should have just. I don't like when he does stuff like that. And listen, I love the guy. I think everybody knows that. If they've ever heard me speak about it, I'm with him 1,000,000%. But sometimes he just says things that he doesn't need to say, and that was one of them. So that's really where I was coming from. It's like there's no need. There's no need to say you hate Taylor Swift. Why?
Yeah. Well, I said to Brian last night in the show, I feel like we've had a very disciplined Trump, very disciplined in 2024. I felt like the debate with Biden, I mean, as much as Biden obviously was pretty much out of it, and Trump didn't really have to do much and let him speak and then say, I don't know what he said there. I don't think he knows what he said there. I mean, moments like that but again, he was very disciplined. He's been very disciplined. I think he's chosen great places to go to speak to, like we've talked about, Lex Fridman, these, the Nelk Boys, the thing he did the other night, the crypto push he's making to the new audiences. All that stuff has been great. And I just hope he continues to be disciplined, because I felt like we got a little off the rails on debate night, where she really got kind of under his skin with the rallies thing, and then it was kind of all over the place. Now the Taylor Swift thing. People are saying that some of the inner circle people who prepped him for the debate may not have been the best voices to be listening to. Some kookiness going on within of the people around him. And of course, we've talked about personnel. And if you look back at the first 4 years, if there's one big complaint, you just wonder how some of the personnel choices were made. When you look at now, people who used to be in his inner circle are now working over at The View, working over at NBC, writing books about him. And it's kind of like, how did we get to these people in the first place? And I feel like there's still some people around that you think, really? Do you really want that person around you? So I'm just hoping for the last 49 days, we get a very disciplined, on message, are you better off than you were 4 years ago, Trump for this final stretch.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of the choices he did make in 16, it's one of the reasons I kind of support him even more now, because I feel like he's learned his lesson. He knows the inner workings. He got burned by, Paul Ryan and a lot of these other guys in there. If you recall going back, he really got burned by a lot of people. Even Jeff Sessions, who didn't step up and do anything. So I think he's learned his lessons that'll make him better. However, this election is as easy as any election, I think, since Carter Reagan, because the policies are so dramatically different, and her articulation of everything she ever says is so horribly bad. If he just stays on point with those things, it's a layup in terms of who's the better choice. Then there's all that hatred stuff that we talked about, all that stuff that's been manufactured about him. That's how they're running. They're running the entire campaign on, you need to hate Trump. And he was almost killed, but you still need to hate him. That's so I think he's got to stay away from that stuff and stay away from anything that's not policy and sort of direct impact on the American people.
All right, we've been going for about an hour, so we'll wrap it up, see if there's any other questions here in the chat for the morning. Glad everybody came in. Whatever you're watching on, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Always appreciate your help in trying to grow the numbers on all the social media. So if you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, smash the like, as the young kids say. So, Vin, I don't know what an October surprise would look like, given what we've had, 2 assassination attempts. I think it's another thing that you kind of look at and you go, man, I can't believe I'm saying this here in 2024. I mean, I don't think any of us could sit here and think that he's going to be free and clear of another assassination attempt between now and then. I mean, it's crazy to say that it could be a third, but I don't think anybody comfortably could sit here and say, yeah, we rule it out for sure. Secret Service doesn't seem to have their game together. We keep hearing about resource problems that they have, like this is a resource problem. Meanwhile, we're $6 trillion in debt under the Biden administration. We're $36 trillion in debt. We can find money for every Green New Deal, everything. We're sending money all over the world. We're sending money for illegal immigrants here, there, and everywhere else. But to protect the former president and possibly future president of the United States, we have a resource problem. That's what we're told. I mean, it's just absolutely bonkers. But to my point, we always talk about an October surprise in these election years. What the hell does an October surprise look like? What possibly could it be? Or do you think it's pretty much clear sailing from here?
No, I think we're dealing with such bad actors on the left. I mean, some of the most devious minds you can imagine. And you're dealing with real potential tragedy with someone like Trump, that I think there will be something will come up. Either something on the left gets exposed, like the ABC, debate folks knowing everything that they're doing, that they all that stuff that came out, the speculation about the ABC moderators and so on, maybe something like that comes out. But I don't think it's not going to be a surprise, because what's the surprise now? We already suspect the left of doing all sorts of bad stuff, and we already know people want to kill Trump. To the other thing that you said, the entire thing about not, having enough people in the Secret Service and staffing and money and all that, it is absolute nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. This is directed by the federal government. They're the ones that call who should be on what. This is once again another politically driven thing. We're keeping the Secret Service with the not even the B team, the C team, limiting the amount of folks they can have on there and limiting the protection, because they see the threats. You don't think the FBI sees the threats on Trump on a daily basis? And then it all comes down to the old JFK movie. Who wins if Trump's eliminated? Who wins? The left wins, China wins, Russia wins. Who wins? Iran wins. Think about that. Who wins if he's eliminated? They all win. And so that's a lot, right? That's a lot to look at for one guy who's actually, look, first of all, look at this guy. We see him here on the screen. He's almost been killed twice. He's got a family. He's got grandkids. I mean, I'm scared for the whole family. And he's right back out. The guts this guy has and the leadership he's showing is amazing. It's almost like that moment on 9/11 when George Bush picked up the megaphone and just said, we're gonna find these people that did this to us. When he went off cuff and said something, and it was an incredibly inspiring moment. Look at this guy, comes right back.
Let's listen in here. See what they're
Focus
talking
on
about.
that stage, but she also shared details about her call with Trump.
That's right, Anna. This is all part of what we're hearing across the board from top Democratic officials about the need to lower the political temperature. You've heard that from President Biden, condemning this latest attempted assassination, calling for more resources to protect President Trump. You heard this yesterday on the campaign trail as well from Tim Walz, the running mate of Kamala Harris, saying we know that we solve our differences at the ballot box, not through political violence. But the vice president, the person on the ballot against Donald Trump, making that gesture to call her rival to express her concern and relief that he is safe. Harris talked a little bit more about that conversation yesterday. Listen here.
I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country.
Now, as we see the conversation about migration.
That's just really, I mean, oh, man. Whoa, wow. What a job. Yeah. What leadership, Barry. That's, I mean, I've been talking the last couple nights about if this was the Trump administration or any other administration, what the president of the United States should and probably would be doing would be calling every one of these people, heads of every department, put them in a room and say, enough is enough. Why is this happening? I want answers to what we have to do to put an end to this. I don't care how much we have to beef up security. What do we have to do to stop this? Because I need to go in front of a microphone in front of the American people and tell them what's going on and why this is going to stop. And if you don't have answers for me, you're all fired. But this administration, I called him and I told him. I tweeted, I put out a really nice tweet. Didn't you see it? Biden basically has said nothing other than walking in front of the cameras once and saying, I think it's a Secret Service problem. They need more resources. That's pretty much what we've heard from him, and that's what we've heard from her. We've heard nothing from the Attorney General. We've heard nothing that I know of from the Secret Service guy, nothing from Chris Wray of any substance, no substance from any of the other people, Homeland Security, none of them. None of them. But I put out a nice tweet.
It says it all. I mean, that's the 28%. I mean, there's no way of sugarcoating that. It says it all. When everybody just says nothing, they're complicit, or they're kind of complicit. You know what I mean? That's the 28% that you're noting. If they feel that way, and no one's heads are rolling, the only heads that have rolled in the Biden-Harris administration are the people that worked for Harris that quit. They didn't fire him; they quit. More people quit on her staff than any staff at that level ever. So that's the only people they've ever fired, and they've had one calamity after another. It's a total lack of leadership, and that's what it comes down to. There's just no leadership, and they're part of the 28%. They are like, well, if it happens, it happens. Terrible.
We'll see what's going on over
other
here.
news today, Sean Diddy Combs will be back in court as he looks to get out on bail.
Sean Diddy Combs.
After spending the night behind
We didn't talk
bars.
about this, Rick.
Combs was denied bail
Rick Vin,
yesterday
what do you make of Sean Diddy Combs?
Commission, and then using the tax code to secure
I am blown away by what is coming out, and it's if you kind of look at the history of a lot of these rappers that have become moguls, and he did from Def Jam, the early days. If you remember those early days when Snoop was breaking out, and I think NWA was coming out, and there was some serious, it was all done through violence and and threats, and people were beat up and
Suge Knight, baby, Suge
Knight, right? So then you see P Diddy, or whatever his name is now, Puff P Diddy, but Sean will call him. Thank you. This is just an incredible next level to that type of power that this guy thinks he exudes. I am shocked by this, really, just shocked, and I'm shocked by it because when the whole thing with Weinstein came out, and I've kicked around that movie business here and there, we all knew the guy was an ass. We all knew he was really bad. Everybody knew he was bad. Every actor, director, producer, financier knew he was a bad guy, and half of Hollywood loved him, but he was a bad guy. People know about Sean P. Diddy, and no one spoke up, really. They let this stuff go on because he had power and he made things happen, just like Weinstein. By the way, all the lefties cuddled up to him, Hillary Clinton and so on. It is shocking. It's just just can't believe that humanity has got sunk that low for a guy like this to just do the things that he did. It's just besides being an extreme pervert, it's shocking.
Relief anytime soon, and that's why the argument that it's political. I think honestly, Republicans are missing the real story here. The real story.
I
agree. The real story is to forget about the Fed and whether Jay Powell is trying to help the administration. Today's action is an SOS on the U.S. economy. That is the bottom line. Whether they go 25 or 50, today is an acknowledgement that our economy is in trouble. And if the further they go, the deeper the rate cut, the more in trouble they are saying we're in. So don't worry. Don't try to massage this as Powell's helping Biden. Tell the truth that this is something more important than that, that this is Jay Powell coming to the rescue or attempting to of the average American who is suffering.
Okay. Right.
Call for number.
I mean, did we not talk about this an hour ago?
Yeah,
This is exactly right. This is why I don't think, and he's right, Republicans, as usual, missing the messaging because we don't have any messengers. We don't have anybody that can go out there and message to the American people properly, other than maybe one governor in Florida and a couple others. That's the point. The point is 25 or 50. This is not political. Stop trying to frame this as political. Frame this as they were late to raise. Now they're late to cut, and they're cutting because this economy is in trouble and possibly big trouble. So people looking at this rate cut going, woohoo, here we go, rate cut, quantitative easing, assets start to flying. I don't think so, at least not right away, because we need to see exactly where unemployment's going to go the next couple months. Where is inflation going to go the next couple months? What happens if a situation where the Fed starts cutting and inflation starts to, wait a minute, tick back up? Then what do we do? So Republicans and the Trump campaign needs to start messaging this correctly. And the correct message is that, not like, hey, he's trying to help Kamala before the election. That's stupid.
Yeah, you make a really good point, and I have to say, obviously, I suspect all these agencies being biased, but in this particular case, this was articulated extraordinarily well right here on Fox. Watching that, it might be a really big story for the economy on a negative side and where things actually are. We know that they've sugarcoated everything, right? They've sugarcoated unemployment. They've sugarcoated inflation, saying there's not inflation when they disregard the pricing of everything. So,
Well, I think we lost Vin.
That was my fault.
Oh, did we lose you?
No, for a second there. I don't know what
back.
happened. That was weird.
Let's speaking of the incompetent Republicans,
and the economy, plus a spending plan that is
I thought this was
pretty
live. I
much
thought she was talking about
in the House for Speaker Johnson. So lots more
the
to come.
CR with the
as we cover
SAVE
this.
Act that they're trying to push through here. Of
Why
course, because
is joy important to you to insert into this election?
Oh wow, what a tough question.
I find joy in the American people.
Yeah.
I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future.
Vice President Kamala Harris's appearance before the National Association
Oh my God,
of Black
I never saw that
Journalists
before.
was a far cry from the
wow,
hostile
you know,
line
it's funny. Trump did the National Association of Black Journalists. That 5 seconds I just saw seemed to have a much different tone and feel from when Trump was sitting in front of them. I can't exactly pinpoint it, but it seems to have just a little bit of a more welcoming tinge to it than Trump got when he was there, Vin. It's subtle, but it was there.
I love almond joy. I like joy, lubricants. I like joy in general. I watched that thing with Trump too. It was first of all, it was insulting, by the way. He went right after the moderators, but this is just ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous thing. And the fact that she even answered that question is even more ridiculous. Like, what does she think of joy? It's not a presidential question. If you and I were applying for for a job at Dunkin' Donuts to make the coffee in the morning and handle the drive-through, we would get tougher questions to even be in that position. This is the president of the United States. This is the highest office in the world, arguably, right? Getting questions that are just moronic. And I at some point, you got to stop criticizing the Harris campaign and just saying, what has happened to these journalists and media? And it's beyond being in the bag. You're running on joy. This is the platform. It's hard to even get into the debate on it because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. It's just ridiculous. So
I do like Almond Joy, so enjoy them once in a while.
I know you do. I know you do. All right, very good. Well, this was fun, Vin. I mean, you could join me any morning you want. I'm here. I'm almost here every day. I try to be here every day unless my kids have something or whatever. But this was fun.
Yeah, hey, it's always great just going back and forth with you on these issues because, you know, hey, one, I feel like people need to talk about this way more, and two, I like how we kind of flow and the coverage we give for these subjects. So thanks for having me on.
I was thinking about maybe trying to, I mean, obviously like to get other people to join us, but maybe what me and you should do is we'll plan a way, like kind of what we're doing on the show with the odds makers and bringing in some of the audience. I think maybe what we can do here is we could actually take some video questions because the way this is set up, all we got to do is send links out like the one I sent to you for people to join. People could join us with a question they have for me or you or both of us, and we can discuss, and maybe we do some audience participation one of these mornings. We do a little AMA, ask me anything, ask us anything, whatever we want to call it. And if people will like maybe sign up in advance or send us an email with their, I guess we would need cell phone numbers, or we could send it to your email with a link that it would bring you into the system here. And then we could bring people on, and then, you know, they ask their question, we could talk, and then bring another person on. And what do you think of that? I
think it's a great idea. I'd love that. Just make sure they don't use beepers. But I think if we have them come in regularly, that'd be so funny, wouldn't it be, if they had that the beepers for anybody asking a dumb question from the left? You know, you just hit the button and the thing explodes. But yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And the thing about the audience in general, I see this on the show in the evenings, and I see it now for the comments that I'm seeing. This audience is in tune. They're smart. They know what's going on. And you know, the questions that they ask sometimes prompt us to get into these subjects that we should be talking about, that sometimes you just kind of weave your way through subjects, maybe missing a few things like that. So yeah, I love that idea. Hey, let's throw a few lefties into that too. I'd love to debate a few of them. I'm telling you, I wouldn't mind doing it live instead of on Facebook. You know, it's always always fun to have a little controversy.
We know you love to do that, Vin. We know you love to do that.
I can't hold back. I can't. I can't keep my mouth shut over stuff I think's wrong.
We walk into the place, and I say, "Oh, hey, it's nice to be here." And I turn around. Where's Vin? Vin's over in the corner. Let me tell you something. We've been there for 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's.
I got to run over and pull him by the back of his shirt. Come on, Vin. We just got here.
That's the reality. Yeah. Well, it's true. I just can't stand BS. End of story.
Yeah. All right, folks. There we go. Thanks for joining us. Whatever you're watching on, Child of the King, thank you very much. Of course, for all your support as well. Vin, that's what I wanted to ask you. What are your socials? We haven't been giving your socials out. Where can people connect with you on social media? Are you on X, Facebook? Give your handles. Where can people connect with you?
I am on X. I'm on obviously X, Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I am on Instagram, but I don't really use it. I use Facebook really the most. But X and Facebook for sure. And it's just my name, Vincent Buda.
At Vincent Buda, Vincent spelled out.
Yeah.
We couldn't get Vinnie Mac.
Yeah,
wasn't available.
I'll put that up there. I wouldn't mind doing Vinnie Mac. I like that. Someone was asking me, why does he call you Vinnie Mac? Why does he call you Vinnie Mac? And I'm like, I'm not really sure why he calls me Vinnie Mac, but it kind of works.
I'll tell you why. Because I've always been a big wrestling fan from a kid growing up, and the WWE was Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yep.
And they used to call him Vinnie Mac, and he was you know, I don't know. You guys have similar, like, I don't know why. So I've always just called you Vinnie Mac because of that. They called him Vinnie Mac and I called you Vinnie Mac. And that's just the way that's the way it started. Way back in probably 14, 15, I started calling you that.
Yeah, I'm going to get Hulk Hogan. I'm going to get him and rip him apart. I'm going to do that. If I get him, I'm sorry, my Vinnie Mac. That's my Vinnie Mac. That's as far as I go.
My old friend, Stu Feiner, working at Barstool now.
Oh yeah, I love Stu.
He's having lunch with Hulk Hogan today.
Oh my good, those two together in a room. Woo. Holy cow! First of all,
I think Hulk. I don't know if you can get Hulk into character much anymore. Stu is never out of character, even when he sleeps.
I see it. We're on Facebook together, and the thing I get a big kick out about Stu, besides him, being kind of loud, he does this screaming and all that. The amount of food this guy eats, I've never seen it. I've seen you eat. You're a double mealer. And we know that. You're a big guy though. You're 6'5".
Yeah.
Stu's not that. Stu's not. What's he? 5'8". The amount of food this guy eats is incredible. Then he's proud.
5'8". What? Stu is something out of The Hobbit. Stu's like 5'3" on his best day. What are you talking about?
Okay, I was trying to be kind. All right, he's Tom Cruise height. He's like 5'6", maybe. But he eats a ton.
I think he says 5'4" and 1/4 when he actually tells people he's 5'4" and 1/4.
And he's got this belly, and he's running around his pool with the videos. The guy's crazy, but he eats a lot of food for a little guy.
Yeah. So, all right, Vin, this was fun. Everybody, thanks for joining us. And of course, tonight, 8:00, we will have President Trump. No matter what time he starts out in Uniondale, whether it's 7, 7:15, 7:30, he'll probably be rolling into the 8:00 hour. So Rav will be sticking with President Trump until he's done. Then they'll come to us. But we'll be live on socials at 8:00. And we may even dip into the president a little bit as well, although I think we've all pretty much heard. But I think, tonight could be I think he's going to be feeling that energy. Tonight he could be fired up, so maybe we'll dip into a little bit of the president live from the Nassau Coliseum as well, 8:00. But we'll be on 8 to 10, whatever time the network gets to us, they get to us. But we'll be there for 2 hours. And, of course, right here on all socials. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, you can hit the bell notification so you get notified when we go live each and every day, every morning as well. I might even stream this afternoon with the big Fed decision, and see how that goes, what the explanation is. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll probably be streaming that decision as well this afternoon, I think starting around 1 or 2 o'clock, but keep an eye out. So Vinnie Mac, thanks again. And when we're going to see you on the show again this week?
Yeah, I think coming Thursday. That's good.
Okay, very good. So Vinnie Mac, make sure you connect with him on his socials at Vincent Butta, VincentButta at Vincent Butta on X. So check him out. Make sure you follow Vinnie Mac on X. And make sure you follow at LFS6B everywhere. And Vin, thanks for joining us.
All good, man. Thank you.
And we'll see everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for joining me in the morning, and thanks to Vin for joining me. And I'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. right here live from Studio 6B.